Hello everyone and welcome to Let's Talk About It. We haven't seen each other for a while, couple of months actually. We took a summer break when it comes to this podcast, but now we are back and ready to roll with the new school year. For those of you who are new, my name is Mary and my co-host and guest tonight is my dear colleague Anita. Anita, welcome.
Hi Mary, thank you.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm great as well. Did you forget how it feels to be in this chair on
the hot seat? Because I'm usually on this side, but today I'm kind of in the middle, like co-host, guest, everything.
Yes, that's
cheerleader as well with this. So,
so we have everything in this episode. Okay, tonight's topic is very interesting. It's about elective subjects and credit points. And we will focus this episode mostly around high school students and requirements regarding credit points and electives that are available to them, because the high school is the only one that requires the students to have a specific number of credit points in order to be eligible. Also, by choosing right electives, you can make a pretty good path towards your college or university. So Anita and I will discuss this topic and give you some tips and advice on how to choose the right elective for you, or how you can actually find out what is the topic that interests you and the industry or a field that you would like to explore through electives. But before we move into the high school, let's just start from the credit point system, because many of our new students are really curious to find out what is that about, and they usually have trouble understanding like what is with the credit points, how many credit points do I need, and stuff like that. So Anita, my first question for you will be, what are the credit point requirements for high school students?
Okay. I feel like I'm on a game show. First question. Okay, it's very straightforward, and from a consultant's point of view as well, this is something that all day, every day I'm explaining to not just like parents, but students and all of that. So for our 4 years of high school, we have grades 9, 10, 11 and 12. So regardless whether you started with us from the 12th grade, from the 9th grade to the 12th grade, or if you came like halfway through, if you came in 10th, 11th grade, whatever, the main goal is that at the end of the 12th grade, you have a minimum of 24 credits. And why 24 credits? That's plain and simple. That's what the Florida Department of Education said.
Yes.
So those are the requirements. And like when you hear 24 credits, it sounds like a lot. And sometimes people get a little bit like overwhelmed thinking they have to do 24 credits in 1 year. This is everything from grade 9 to grade 12. So if someone is starting off with us, if you pace out as like 6 credits per grade,
they can achieve easily, so
it.
6 credits per school year.
Yeah.
What happens, and we have a lot of these situations when students don't start with us from grade 9, but for example, they start with us in grade 10 or 11, and they come not from an American educational system,
from
because the situation is easy with that, but what happens if they come from some other educational system?
Which we have a lot of.
Yeah.
So this is why like it's imperative that students, families, they send through those transcripts, and that's why we ask for it, so that we can see which subjects they did, which grades, like whether they passed it, so that we can kind of line it up with what we have on offer and basically say, okay, so they may not have done, for example, if they've done, they're coming into the 11th grade with us, and part of our curriculum, the 11th grade, let's say science is chemistry, and they've like done chemistry in the previous year, or they've done some other science, and like, well, what do we count as this? As long as we can see like that this is a subject that has been done that whole year, whether it's a science, whether it's a math, whether it's a look, in our case, English language arts is a core subject, but if they're coming from say like a Spanish curriculum or an Italian curriculum or wherever, like their core subjects of that language would obviously line up and be equivalent to our ones as well. The only time that we don't really like count credits is if it's like some schools are religion based and we are not. So we don't actually count those credits just because that's part of their curriculum, something that correlates with what we have on offer if it's in the same department. Like I said, whether it's a science or a math or a mathematics subject, I need to go back to school, or something like that, then we can see, okay, they've done this many credits, and even if maybe they completed more than 6 credits, like in 1 year, of course we count that as well. So that's just, it's always good to have extra credit. We just go by our guidelines and say per school year we do 6, unless the student has like, I don't know, if they're coming into the 12th grade and they've got already like 20 credits or something like that.
But I think that 6 credits is even secure for them. Just
I always say,
better safe than sorry. So better to have more than just to be, shortcutted.
And I always say that as well, because colleges and universities, I mean, college, university, same thing, but it's always good to see extra credits. So the main thing is that they meet our guidelines and they meet like the minimum credit count. But as well, if you have extra credits, that's always a plus on your CV, your university CV. So,
but in cases, although I don't think if we had cases like that, but did it happen ever that we had a student whose credits we couldn't recognize and accept from previous school, and they have to, just do additional subjects in our school in order to restore those credits?
Yeah, we do have some instances where they, for example, we had one that was coming from the 9th grade, and they finished that year, so they got the report and everything, but they failed one subject, and I think it was math or something like that. So they didn't get a passing score. And again, this is really important. This is why we ask for academic transcripts, because they didn't pass that math subject. So what we have like as a kind of to fix that up is the placement program. So for that we would do a series of placement tests just to see, okay, for whatever reason you didn't pass that, we'll do this placement test so that we can grant you that credit from that previous year, so that you don't have to redo the whole year for that subject. Course, yeah. Exactly. This is something that will last 2 weeks maximum, just because it's for one subject, maybe even less depending on the student. But it just it makes sure that, or we make sure that that student understands that level and can go straight into the next year. And it's good as well, because it acts as like a refresher. So everything that maybe they forgot, because I know as well, whenever I took exams, like I would study the night before and then I do my exam, and as soon as I walk out, I literally forget everything that I studied. So this works as a good refresher and basically sets them up to understand what they're going to do in the next grade.
Yeah, and speaking of that, I think that American system, I mean, probably all systems in the world are usually created in a manner where you have 4 years of high school that are connecting one to each other. So everything that you learn in grade 9, you will need that knowledge in order to upgrade that knowledge in grade 10.
Yeah, so, for certain subjects, obviously for English, in our school's case, or for mathematics, they can't do a 10th grade math subject or an 11th grade math subject without doing, they have prerequisites for those. So if they're doing calculus, they would have to know some previous knowledge of, don't quote me for this, I always get math wrong and I always use math as an example, but you get what I mean. They have to have some understanding and have passed that previous mathematics to go on to that one and to understand what they're learning in that one in the next grade.
Yes, of course. And I also wanted to mention that even though if students start their schooling with us in grade 10, 11, or even 12, and if they didn't have experience with an American education prior to that moment, our tutoring team is always there to help them adjust and catch up with everything. So they have group classes, they have individual classes, everything is kind of sorted out for a student to have a smooth intro into our
transition
school.
to our school.
Into our school.
It's true, and very, very rarely, like we'll have someone say, look, they're really struggling or they really need extra help. Like we're very like on the ball with that stuff, especially coming from different like curriculums or different like countries and switching to the US system. For some people it's a lot easier. For some people it's maybe because of a language barrier, it's like a shock. But nothing that they wouldn't have learned in their system. So it's very similar. Again, math. Math, which is like a universal.
Should we organize some refreshers for high school math for you?
Please don't.
Maybe both can take a few individual classes with you.
I'm praising the mathematics department.
Okay, look, if you're up for that, I will join.
We'll do
because
it 2 for 1.
I'm going to be needed too. Okay, so basically the credit point system is not something that students should stress about, because in most cases we recognize their credits from previous school. Even if we don't something, they can do, as you mentioned, like
a placement test to obtain credits,
to recover that credit points, and they can simply focus on gaining 6 credit points per grade in the grade they are and in all grades that they will spend with us. Can we explain how do they get these credit points, from what subjects, and how many credit points is
the
each
weighing
subject
and all
worth?
that? Absolutely. So as everyone's probably familiar with our core subjects, that's, and like I say, that's our skeleton that we go by, and those 4 core subjects is something that, like, it's just the standard, whichever grade you're like enrolling into, we have for this grade, like those core subjects. So it's English, math, social studies and science. There are 4 core subjects and they go for both semesters. Now, we have languages, we have other electives, and a lot of people think that languages are part of like the core subjects. They're not. They are just electives. But yeah, so the electives, we actually, let me just go back, and I've got like all these things that I want to say
Teacher,
about
can I start again?
Let's rewind. Core subjects, semester A and B. For each semester, they hold half a credit. So that's why we have all these like course catalogs and whatnot, just to have in writing to not confuse people how many semesters they go for. So if we're doing like a study plan, let's say, and we're doing 6 credits per year. We're doing 4 core subjects, which go for A and B, and then per semester, I would say choose 2. So if you choose 1, that's like goes for semester A and B, that's a whole credit.
Yes.
If you choose another one that's just a semestral course, that's half a credit, and then you would choose another one. This explanation is very mathematical, so sometimes I confuse myself.
Anita is not very good with math.
Yeah, and the way that we like put it plain and simple is choose 6 courses per semester. So that's your 4 core and your 2
electives per semester, basically, and you're good. You have your 6 credit points.
You have your 6 credit points.
Because as you mentioned, so core subjects usually last the entire school year or 2 semesters, semester A and B, and therefore they carry 1 credit point. But electives, in most cases, electives last only 1 semester, which is the reason why they carry only half of the credit. So students needs to choose 2 electives per semester in order to gain those additional 2 credit points for the entire school year and be in line with the credit point system. And we usually tell them, parents, do not worry, we got this cover. If they're watching this, I don't think they are for sure that we got this cover.
You just put it so plainly, simply, nicely explained that it's like some algebra explanation of this.
Okay, great. But before we move on, I will give you a couple of minutes to breathe and get ready for the next question.
I feel like that meme with all those equations in the background, confusing myself.
We can start doing that. I just wanted to invite you to ask any questions that you might have. They don't have to be strictly related to credit points or elective subjects.
Or mathematical, I won't scare anyone.
They can be related to our school, or if you don't have any question and you have just, if you're a student or a parent of a student and you want to share something, just feel free to do so in the comment section, or simply say hi and tell us from which country you're watching us from, and that's basically it. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel, to like this video, and to share it with someone who might find it useful. Maybe someone who is planning to enroll their child in an online school and they're thinking about it. I think this podcast that we do can be a good source of information for starters, and later on they can just get in contact with us and speak with Anita or with someone from the consulting team. I'm sure they will be able to help. Okay, so we've covered credit point system. Okay, so we have Mrs. Marshall says, kind regards from your students, Kenan and Tariq, 3rd grade. We love you, education worldwide. And they have put a really nice heart. So we love you too. Thank you for watching us, and thank you for choosing education worldwide as your school. Okay, so let's move on to the elective subjects, because you already mentioned them. So in elementary and middle school, we also have elective subjects, although by the program that we offer, students are not obliged to take these subjects.
That's correct. So the core subjects, let's go back to core, my favorite. The core subjects, it's the same from kindergarten to grade 12. So the 4: English, math, science, social studies. That's obviously taught in different levels for each grade. So that's something that is mandatory. We do offer electives for elementary school and middle school, but again, they don't have to. It's more something that they do, which is like fun. So it kind of gives them a choice, and it gives them this feeling of like, oh, I don't have to like just do something that like they're telling me to do. I want to do arts and crafts, or I want to do keyboarding, or I want to do music, or I want to learn a language because I want to, not because my mom signed me up for school and I have to do these subjects. But like we don't, I mean, especially for the elementary school, and especially because again, we're online. For some students it's a little bit not daunting, but it's different for them. So to kind of like enforce all these subjects, it could be a bit much. And a lot of students as well go to two schools simultaneously. So that could be a lot of pressure on such a small grade, like a younger grade. For middle school, we do tell them to choose it. Again, if they don't, if we've come to the end of the grade and for whatever reason they didn't choose it, or they weren't comfortable choosing it like in the beginning, they'll still get a transcript and they'll still have successfully completed that grade. But we don't look too much into it. It's more important, and I always say for high school, just because we have a specific like number that we need to reach, and a specific like requirement that to obtain this lovely diploma behind you, Mary, to successfully complete high school studies and enter university.
Yeah, of course. And what I usually tell to parents whose students are enrolled in middle school is I usually advise them to take electives, because I think that students need to adjust on being able to follow multiple subjects, because in high school that will be a requirement, so they will have to. Although electives are not that content heavy, right?
No. They're really like electives. Again, it's something that like you choose that you want to do. It's not something that's mandatory, and it is like I would say maybe 95% of our middle schoolers have 2 electives per semester, just because why not? Like firstly, they need to get into that routine of having 6 subjects to do at the same time, and then it'll also prepare them for that like workload and everything, so when they get to high school it's not going to be a shock. Like, okay, I was doing 4 subjects and now I'm doing 6. Like no one warned me, but it's, what was I going to say? Yeah, the content, it's not that content heavy. The memes are still going on, the equations in my head.
Well, it was a long day.
Yeah. The electives are not as content heavy, so that's why like some of them may only last a semester, and they're all like fun, interesting ones. Not that the core subjects are not interesting, but this is, like I said, you've got different departments. You've got business, you've got IT, you've got gaming, you've got sports, health, PE,
different fields which they can actually explore and learn about those fields, which creates a perfect foundation, especially if their higher education will go in that direction. And we will speak about that as well. But let's just shift to the high school. So in high school, electives are mandatory because of the credit points.
Absolutely.
What is the situation there when it comes to the learning material that they have to? Obviously, it's one semester, it cannot be loaded, but do you have any information? Did you have the chance to go through the curriculums of some of our electives?
Well, like I said, we have that course catalog, which gives like a little paragraph, a blurb of what the subject is about. And with most cases as well, like when I'm in correspondence with families and they're still like not sure what they're going to choose, like we always send this document and we send the list of like what we have on offer, and then if something is interesting for them, they say, okay, like can we have a little bit more information? And in certain like cases, we even ask one of our, I don't know who does that, we have a colleague that has all like the syllabus outlines for like everything. And then we just send that through as well, just to give them like a little idea of what they would be studying. Yeah.
Okay. We have a question from Nikki Aslani. I think that I've read the last name correctly. She says, hello, I hope you're doing well. Is there any advantage for me if I finish the school year faster than usual? I'm grade 11. So what happens if she finishes the school faster?
Then she finishes faster.
Well, I'm not sure. Depends if you plan on going to a university or a college. Many colleges and universities require that their candidates have at least 18 years of age. So you'll probably have a gap year, which you can use maybe to follow additional subjects, maybe AP courses or something like that, or just learn something additionally just to improve your possibilities of entering your desired college or a university. But if you finish the year faster, then you're good for that year. You have a year ahead of you that you can spend the way you want, basically.
Also, sorry, I have a question. I have a comment. We've had students in the past where they've finished a semester or the whole year, and in that time, if they finish earlier, they want to use that like summer period where they would usually be having a break to take up maybe another elective or something like that, and put that as part of their, like that grades on that transcript of that grade. So if you do finish something in time, you can use that time as well to pick up an extra elective or something like that, and get extra credits. Like if you, if you're starting with us from grade 9, and maybe you want extra credits, maybe you don't want just 24, maybe you want 26, 30.
I got overboard with this 30. It's too much.
I think so too. I don't think that's normal.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But most of our students who actually finish high school earlier, they take that extra year to acquire additional credit points, whether this is our electives or AP courses or anything else that they want to.
I also just want to mention as well, and I've mentioned this as well to like our students and families and everything. We are self-paced, and we do have students who finish maybe in less than 10 months, and 10 months is just the average school year for us, 5 per semester. A lot of, basically the requirements are, with our curriculum and whatnot, that each semester is done in a minimum of 4 months. Now,
so
again,
they cannot finish much faster, only 4 months?
They can,
okay.
And we can't stop them. If they're working ahead, that's obviously up to them. However, like we just need to like put it out there that it may be an issue. Like it's not a guaranteed issue, but sometimes, or maybe, not even sometimes, maybe a university will be looking at the transcript and say, okay, if you completed this in 2 months,
how is that possible?
How is it possible? And look, it is possible, but they could just, like, it could open up a can of worms and they could question you and they could be having a bad day, you know, and just maybe, you know, start, well, not like questioning, but maybe like make you retake something.
Yes, but they do reach out to schools just to check if everything is okay.
Absolutely,
and how is possible that a
absolutely,
certain student finished way faster than they supposed to.
Yeah.
Okay, so, but that doesn't mean that you don't have to put your efforts and be afraid of this. So if you want to, you know, step on it and work hard and just finish school year faster, that is entirely possible. Okay, let's go back to our to our electives. Okay, so the thing that we were talking about was that we have a course catalog that we usually send to parents and students. They can review it and choose the electives that they want to. And when we're talking about electives, there's really a lot of topics to choose from. We have electives that are in relation to core subjects. So for example, somebody who's planning to study math, you're not your favorite topic, but okay, they can have integrated math or something like that as an elective, and to just build up their knowledge in math field in order to be ready for a college or university. And I think it's useless that we mention here all the fields, because it's impossible. It's really a list of several, I don't know, so many electives. And besides these classic or traditional electives that are included in our curriculum, we also offer something called vocational subjects, which are even more interesting subjects with topics that are actually really contemporary, you know. They're really something that you would need in this day and age. So of course, these electives are not part of the standard program, and they need to be paid extra. You can get that information from your consultant. They will explain how this additional tuition fee works. But in any case, students really have a long list of electives to choose from.
They have so much variety.
What would be your advice on how they can opt for a certain elective, how they can find their perfect elective for them? What would be the first thing that you say to a student, like a tip or an advice, you know, how to choose the right elective?
Well, I think it really as well depends on like the grade. Someone who is starting out in grade 9 and they're still unsure of what they want to study, like in university, college, and they have like, I don't know, they want to do a language or they want to do something contemporary. Say, I think we've got like something with IT, or like we've got like AI, something.
We also have Microsoft Office package, everything, Word,
all
Excel,
of that. Like it really depends. Like if they don't know, then choose something that looks interesting, and ask us like what it's about, or like we have this thing as well, we have a 2-week grace period as well. So in that grace period, if you choose an elective and it's not what you thought it was, or you want to change it for whatever reason, within that 2-week like a grace period, you can do so. So we give like that kind of, it's like a trial base if you're really unsure. Otherwise you can, like if you haven't no like major issues with that elective, you can do it for that semester and just pick something else the next one. But getting to our older years, like if you know what you want to do in university and you're in, I don't know, 10th, 11th grade, and now it's time to start speaking with the college advisor and start, you know, exploring your options with universities and what the prerequisites are and all of that. I think that's very important. Just because some courses in university, they have certain requirements, like they need to see certain subjects that like I don't know, like for business, if you want to study business in university, you know, we have a lot of business electives that, you know, could be useful and kind of warm you up for that extra study and that, like, that transition into university. So it really, like I said, it really depends whether it's, if you're just choosing electives that you want to do and you're not sure what you're going to study later, then pick anything
just to acquire credit points. But it's really good that you start thinking about your higher education, not at the end of 12th grade, but earlier, maybe in 10th or 11th grade. And the best thing you can do, just maybe visit the website of the university that you would like to enroll. Go through the list of the subjects that they follow on the first year of your desired field of study, or check the requirements. They're probably having that on the website, which will massively help you when picking the electives. The same goes for the AP courses. We will explain how they choose the AP courses right after the commercials, but it's not commercials. It's Daniel Solana who asks, is there an elective related to aerospace engineering or astronomy? We do have space exploration.
We have space exploration. We have. Ooh.
We can send you the list tomorrow.
Like, I should have really learned. Look, there's over 50 electives or more, so it's really hard to kind of know everything off by heart. But we do have some of those contemporary ones, and a lot of like science-based as well. Like you said, we have.
Space exploration.
Space exploration.
I think that
my brain's exploring space at the moment.
Anita's brain is exploring our course catalog. She's imagining the course catalog, trying to remember all the electives that we have in our offer. Anyhow, so AP courses. Another thing that confuses our students, because they usually are like, oh, I want to do an AP course with you, and they're like, okay, just give me anything, or they ask us what we should do. Well, the point with the AP courses is we cannot decide what you can take for the AP. You need to do that because it's literally connected to your college or university, and you need to see what the requirements are.
So, and that's another important thing. So, and I always say, start thinking about where you want to study. Just because you can get in contact with them and ask like what the requirements are. If you need certain subjects that you need to do, if you need certain AP courses or a certain number of AP courses or honors courses or whatever, just so that we know in advance, so that we can allocate and create like a study plan, so that, you know, when you finish the 12th grade with us, congratulations, here's your certificate, all the best, and not them coming back and saying, well, I need to do this and this subject.
Yeah, unfortunately, I have some students who are now coming back after they finished 12th grade, and I feel sorry because they did have this information, but they weren't informed what are the requirements for the university. On the other side, I have some students who are very carefully thinking this through, you know, and they're scheduling consultations in a timely manner just to be sure that they're on point with this credit point system and the subjects that are required. I think it's not the bad thing that we mentioned that some European countries also have specific requirements if their students are attending an American online school, and they will be graduating from an American online school. But all these informations, if you're not sure, you can always contact your assigned consultant, or if you're not still enrolled, when you get in touch with your consultant, they will explain this situation, because every country pretty much has different requirements, and it's not possible for us to give you like some short answer on this.
There's no like general rule for the
for
whole world. The only thing that's like worldwide is the recognition of us. So like, and that's actually another thing I wanted to mention, because you mentioned AP courses and why they need to see AP courses or AP exams, which again are not, it's the exams like AP, SAT, ACT, they're not done with us. They are a separate affiliation. That is something that, like for university, the student has to register, take the exams. It's so important just to speak with someone, whether it's via email, like our school, I'm sure universities have like a consultant or an admissions officer where they are more than happy to, you know, get in contact and just write what the requirements are, because as I've learned with some countries, Jordan, for example, they accept, of course, the US diploma and all of that, but they also need to see either 3 AP exam, so 3 AP exam credits, just because 1 AP exam holds 2 credits.
Oh.
Here we go, now we're doing a math lesson.
Okay.
So three AP exams, because they need to have 6 credits of exams.
Yeah.
Or
confusing.
6 ACT, or 1 AP and 4 ACT. I'm doing the math now. Because they just need to have an overall of 6 exam credits. So like I said, whether it's 3 AP, because 1 holds 2, or whether it's 6 ACT, or you can like do a mixture.
You can combine them the way you want, basically, whatever suits you the most.
That's something that, you know, the students need to take into consideration, and let us know in advance so that we can help, and we can, like I said, create a study plan and make sure they have all the requirements and finish everything on time and not waste or
yeah, and I also know, for example, Italy has this similar rule. They actually ask that the student follows at least 2 years in an American school before they graduate, and they ask I think 2 or 3 depending from university to university, but it's regardless if you want to go to a state university or a private university, you need to have AP courses or AP credits. I'm not really sure at this moment.
Yeah, and it depends. Some require 4, and that's over the 4 years. It's not in the final year they need to do 4.
Yes, of course, but over the course of 4 years.
They need to do 4 with like their high school diploma, or some 3, some 2. Some have specific, like for the like bachelor's or something, they have specific AP courses that they recognize or that need to be done. So it's not like, I don't know, they want to do something with business, or I always relate to business because business and math go hand in hand, like me and math. They're not going to, you know, look for AP, I don't know, history, something that's not related to that
topic.
Course.
It won't mean anything to them. They don't really care. So
Yeah.
if you want to study math, you don't take English, AP in English or literature or something like that, and vice versa. You know, just pick the AP classes based on the study field that you want to study, and based on the requirements of your desired university. I think we've got we explained this.
We explained it. We went around the block a few times, but we got there in the end.
Yeah, exactly. And well, basically that is it. So if you don't know where to start with your electives and you're early at grade 9, don't worry. Just pick something just to, you know, just gain the experience of learning 6 subjects and opportunity to explore something new. But when you come to grade 10, make sure that your choice of electives is something that you will have benefit from once you go to a university. And for example, when Anita mentioned business, I can remember on the top of my head that we have, like, for example, introduction to business as an elective, and business law. So this can be,
we have quite a few.
Yeah, and if you go for example, the next year you can maybe take, I don't know, accounting and finance, and then you get the whole picture. You get everything during your high school, and when you go to university, you already know the basics, and it will be much easier for you. And needless to say that the university will look favorable on your application when they see that you're already familiar with the topic and you have explored something during your high school. So I think that is it. Anita, do you have anything else to add?
Oh, add, subtract. I'm kidding.
You and math are really...
I don't know what it is with me today. It's been a long day. I'm like rambling on. I think, I just want to close with be very, like, start thinking about what electives will benefit, like you said. And if you're not sure, our teachers are more than happy to help you. Like everyone has an assigned tutor, so that person is their go-to person. Like if they're unsure, they can ask them. If they're unsure, they can consult with like a colleague or something like that. But we are all here to help. So the main thing is that, like, you know, we communicate with each other, and, you know, if something, I don't know, if they have certain interests and they're like, I'm not sure what to do, someone can say, okay, well then this and this kind of falls in that category. Why don't you give that a try? And then just take it from there.
Yes, I think this is really good advice. So basically, teachers and consultants are there to solve any problem you may have. So just ask them if you're not sure. They will help you out with this. This is your last chance to ask any questions for this night before I tell you one interesting information. Although we didn't have this Let's Talk About It podcast during the summer months, we did have a podcast which is done by our student, and two podcasts so far, 2 episodes, and I have classified information that the 3rd episode is also done and will be published, if not this week, then on the next one. So make sure to tune in, because our lovely students Jumana and Antonia are talking about their experience of online education with us, lots of different topics. And in the latest podcast, they also invited, I think that Nala was their guest, so it's really dynamic, it's really interesting, and if you haven't, go and watch that podcast, and also make sure to watch our previous podcast, but also stay with us, because there will be a lot of new topics in the upcoming months. Anita, do you want to add something additionally, like the second chance for you too?
No, this is like a follow-up question on an exam, so we're good.
Just to be sure. Okay, so you passed the test. Everything is great. So if you have any questions, you can always ask through our admissions email or social media chats. Any form of communication is open, and feel free to contact us. We will gladly explain everything to you. Thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and see you next month. Bye.